Welcome. I'm Bernice Ross, the CEO and President of Brokerage Up and realestatecoach.com with today's Real Estate Coach TV session called 7 Ways to Reduce Your Stress. Let's face it, with everything going on between COVID, all the craziness that we've been facing in our businesses and from so many other sources, we are all stressed out. And one of the things that happens to us as business people is that we often think we need to be available 24/7 for our clients. When they call, we should jump. Now, one of the biggest reasons that you want to reduce your stress as a business person is the law of attraction says you attract who you are. If you're stressed out and cranky and ill-tempered, guess what? You're going to attract clients who are the same way. And by the way, if you're going through a life challenge like a divorce or loss of a loved one, you will probably attract people who are in the same situation because the law of attraction says we attract who we are. So if you want to attract happy, optimistic, fun to deal with, honest clients, you need to be all of those things yourself. Again, whatever you want to attract, you have to be that first. But before we dive into the 7 ways to combat stress, I want to take a look at what the research says, and this is very disturbing. When you're under stress, your body releases adrenaline and another substance called cortisol. And these two substances are released when you're under a fight or flight situation. It prepares your body to run or fight. It changes your blood flow. It constricts certain parts of the circulation system, pumps more blood to others, like into the muscles, away from the organs and glands, away from the surface of your skin, so you won't bleed as easily. But what this does to you long term, cortisol has very negative effects. And this comes from the research of many different people. The long-term effects of cortisol are really damaging. It causes decreased metabolism, chronic fatigue, hypertension, depression, hunger, arthritis, migraines, tunnel vision, sleep deprivation, acid reflux disease. But Paul Pearsall's research is particularly point on because he researched what happens in terms of people who get heart disease. And he spent much of his professional career studying heart transplant patients and what led to their heart attacks. And there's one simple conclusion. Cortisol not only contributes to heart disease, it contributes to cancer as well. So what can you do to get rid of that stress? Well, we've got 7 tips that can help you, so let's get right to them. Tip number 1, laughter. Now, what Pearsall's research shows in the Heart's Code, which is kind of a really complex academic book, that he's identified the factors, again, that lead to the heart attacks. And what he found is that people who have dinner with their loved ones at least 3 times per week have 50% fewer heart attacks than those who eat alone. So you want to have dinner with people that are friends or family at least 3 times per week. Furthermore, and this is the most important thing that you can do, people who laugh 100 times per day have stronger immune systems overall, and they're much less likely to become ill from any kind of illness. In fact, laughing regularly is your best defense against getting sick. When you're happy and things are going well, we seldom get sick. It's one of the best ways to reduce cortisol because that's stress. And when you're laughing, you're not under stress. So the more you laugh, the less stress you're going to have. Tip number 2, separate your work area and your rest area. If you are doing work in your bedroom, stop it. Stop it. Because what happens is your body is programmed, you go to bed, it's programmed to go to sleep, but then you start getting sleepy when you're doing your work. So you're not alert. That's one side of this. But on the other side of this is when you work in your bedroom, you prevent yourself from going to sleep. So this can, it gets your brain, it's like I'm used to doing work when I go to, get in my bedroom. Well, that causes insomnia because your brain perceives it. When you're looking at a screen, it perceives it as a source of daylight. This changes your melatonin levels, which we all know impacts sleep. Bottom line is your body thinks it's time to stay up. So you are conditioning yourself to feel stress from business in your bedroom when you should be relaxing. Now, I know in many cases due to COVID, when we've got people at home, working from home, you may not have a separate area. Worst case scenario, sit on the floor, get a chair, but do not sit in bed and work. Find some other place to work, even if it's the kitchen table or the dining room table. I've even heard of some people closing themselves in their walk-in closets, whatever works for you. Now, here's one more really important aspect of this. When you end your day, leave your work outside your bedroom. Don't take it home with you unless you absolutely have to. And again, as I said before, if you are going to work, at home, please do not do so in your bedroom. Tip number 3, confront problems head on. No matter how difficult it is, it's best to confront problems immediately. And ideally, you want to do it at the time of the day when you feel your best. So if you're a morning person, do it first thing in the morning. If you're a little bit better mid-morning, then do it then. Later in the day, night owl. But confront those problems first thing, because then they're not hanging over the rest of your day. Brian Tracy wrote this wonderful book called Eat That Frog, and the frog is the biggest, ugliest task of the day. Get it out of the way first, and then you're done with it. If you're struggling with a particularly sticky problem, one of the best ways to cope with it is to write down as many solutions as you can come up with, no matter how ridiculous they are. It's okay if you want to, you want to do something really over the top and crazy and mad and you'll get totally out of control. Write that down. But then once you've done that, look over what you've written and then identify the one thing that is the best thing that you could do to address that problem. And at least that's a good starting place to finding the solution. And again, what this stops is a lot of us have this, this track that keeps going in our brain. Well, when you write it down, then you've got it out of your head and on a piece of paper, preferably. This works really well if you write it, on a piece of paper, but you could do it on your, on your iPad or on your phone if you want. But the longer you procrastinate, the harder it is to deal with it. So address it head on when it occurs. Tip number 4, end your day by 7 p.m. at least 3 days per week. This means no phone calls, no text messages, no work-related social media activities of any kind. This is your time to recharge with a relaxing meal and with activities that make you feel good. Whether it's talking to, it's having dinner with your loved ones, if you enjoy a family game night, if you like going to your kid's soccer game or any of the other activities that you enjoy doing, clear off that time 3 evenings a week where you take time for yourself to read, to develop, to do whatever supports you, as well as to spend time with your loved ones. Tip number 5, dump non-essential activities. One of the things that can be a huge time waster for us is getting caught up in office gossip or a friend who keeps you on the phone too long when you're supposed to be working, or other potential energy wasters. All you have to do, you get that call from that person, who's going to bend your ear for 30 minutes and you don't have the time to do it. Let it go to voicemail. You can always call them back. And if someone wants you to do something where you've scheduled time off for yourself, all you really have to say is, I have a conflicting appointment. And even if that appointment's with you to stay at home and read, that is your time. Treat it as, as much, it would treat it the same way you would treat it as a really important business appointment. Your goal here is to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because when you're not stressed out, you're going to be, you're going to be better at your work. You're going to sleep better. Your whole life is going to run more smoothly. And everybody knows that when you're stressed out, things don't go well. Tip number 6, discover something new. A number of years ago, I set about trying something new at least once a month. And it was really fun. I tried a lot of different things I had never done before. I went from food to traveling, to different activities I would have never considered doing. But when you open maybe it's a game or something, but the idea here is you grow your brain when you try new things. It keeps your brain younger, and it also makes it more efficient. Now, things that you can do, I mean, you want to plan a really exotic trip somewhere that you've always dreamed of going. Or it can be something as simple as trying a new recipe, cook something. I've tried a lot of really interesting foods I would have never tried, except I was trying this, I was doing this. Okay, I got to do one thing different this week. What's it going to be? And the more creative, the better. And if what you try doesn't work, a lot of times it'll give you the best story that you'll be able to tell all month. So again, share your wins and, those things that flop. Guess what? They work well too. Tip number 7, keep a great life journal. Each day, no matter how difficult your day was, write down at least 3 things that you noticed that were perfect in their own way. One of the things I like to do is take a walk around our subdivision. And one of the things that I love about the fall in particular is that the monarchs are the monarch butterflies are in their migration patterns. And a lot of them stop here because we have a lot of flowers in this subdivision. We have a park right next to us. And it's just so delightful to me to see these butterflies kind of circle around, and sometimes they'll fly around your head and they keep going. But these simple little things in life, it can be a bird song, as I said, a butterfly flitting through the air. Noticing simple joys is the way to reduce your stress. Look for 3 things that are perfect. And I like to add one other thing here. In addition to keeping a great life journal, I'd also like to suggest that every day you write down 10 things that you are grateful for that day. I've been doing this for a number of years, and I know a lot of other people do this too. And every single person I've talked to who does this gratitude journaling or just goes through the 10 things that they're grateful for, it's what went right today before they go to bed, that sets your brain in a positive place. It helps to avoid the stress of going over what went wrong. Again, your brain can only process one piece of information at a time. So when you're focused on what you're grateful for and what went right, there's no room for the stress and what went wrong. So consequently, the next time you're considering missing time with loved ones, or staying at work, or putting off self-care because you have important work to do, remember what matters and take the time for you to engage in that self-care that reduces your stress and is going to give you a better life. I'm Bernice Ross, and thank you for joining us for today's Real Estate Coach TV session called 7 Ways to Reduce Your Stress. Make it a great stress-free day.